Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, Chapter 57. When we last left our heroes, everyone had kind of returned home in the aftermath of the fight with Ishiki. Boruto had an interview about his role in the fight, where he had to keep a lot of things secret because he couldn't reveal things about the Karma and Momoshiki. But then, conversations around the village kind of turned to code. As Kawaki approached Boruto on the Hokage Rock to give him a suggestion of laying a karma of his own, offering Code up as a possible candidate given his previous compatibility with Ishiki's karma. I'm a little curious if that will work. I kind of brought that up last time, but it's a chance it could work. Meanwhile, Amado kind of told Naruto and Shikamaru information about Code, that he had, like, limiters placed as part of his fealty to Ishiki and Jigen. And he might want to come for Amado to have Amado release those limiters. Meanwhile, Code himself is going to Boro's cult, because apparently Boro has a cult now. And there was a bit of a line that Amado said that he had made a bunch of other cyborgs that could possibly beat Jigen. And Jigen had him kind of destroy those, and Boro's cult had picked some up. And I think that's who Code went there to meet, a woman named Eida, who supposedly knows everything in the world. That's sort of where we leave off, so we jump right on into Chapter 57, Eida, with our picture here of Eida. We get a sense of her color scheme, and her whole body outfit. She sort of has a sort of, like, white top, a black skirt with, like, some celestial designs on it. We have, like, a moon, stars, planets. Her hair is is blue with, like, rings of pink. Like streaks of pink, I mean. I don't know, I got a kind of cotton candy aesthetic from her hair for some reason. But anyway, that's Eida in color. And we open on Eida. With her kind of lying in storage in the or maybe Code has taken her out of the little tube she was in. But Code looks at her. Boro, you bastard. You really had disobeyed Jigen's order and preserved her. I don't know what you were plotting. That's just asking for trouble. And Bug, the member of the Boro cult who had survived Code's massacre. If you ask me, your knowing about her is more of a surprise. Why didn't you report Boro's transgression to Jigen? And Code answers, because I wasn't sure of it until I saw her for myself. Plus, if Boro were to incur Jigen's wrath, I'd be the one who'd end up having to dispose of him. And even I don't have the heart to take down a good-natured buddy. So that's interesting, because we never really seen the sense that the Gaara members saw each other as friends. They were just sort of, like, angry allies. But apparently, Code refers to Boro as a good-natured buddy, unless there's some sarcasm in there I'm missing. And Bug calls him out for just that. Yeah, right. I bet you wouldn't even blink. And then Jigen just kind of ignores him. Well, I never dreamed the day would come when she'd come in handy. Let's wake her up. We'll talk after. And Bug answers, and he kind of pauses for a minute before saying, I realize I've already guided you here, but you do know, right? About her abilities? And Code kind of looks down at him, and says, she who knows everything in this world. That's all I've heard. And Bug looks up at him. I don't know what you plan to have her do. I don't want to know. But I bet what you're thinking is too naive. That's an interesting kind of word choice. Like, what is the naivete here? I don't know. Like, is Eida gonna, like, try to betray him or something? We'll have to wait and see. But Code looks down at him. Quit prattling. What is it? Just spill it. And Bug sort of looks up at Eida before answering. You can't make her obey using brute force. Not Eida. Not Eida out of all of them. She's in a completely different class. And Code kind of looks down at him and turns his hand into that sort of claw thing we saw last chapter. And Bug looks and kind of panics. But instead of going for Bug, he opens the door of Eida's sort of tube. And we see, it looks like he sort of laid down that strip he can warp out of. I think. But either way, the door, like, burst open in a puff of smoke, and Bug looks at him. Code, you bastard! I wasn't done explaining. And Code just looks at him. I'll ask her directly. If she defies me, I'll just kill her. And with that, Eida is awake, standing in the midst of the smoke. And then we cut to the Five Kage Summit that I forgot to mention previously on. But Naruto had asked Shikamaru to get ready another Five Kage Summit. The target is Code. This is Shikamaru, a Gaara holdout. The material you have in hand has his details. And we see they're not actually having a summit, they're sort of having a ninja Skype. But either way, Konoha patrols recently launched several incursion ops on the Gaara base, but they all failed, because the Gaara base is located in another dimension. There are transfer portals scattered all over, as per Amado, but our patrols have reported that they all either don't activate or are damaged. So we see the way that Code is sort of covering his tracks there. It seems he anticipated us getting this intel and decided to act preemptively. So you should operate under the assumption that he already knows that Amado has surrendered to Konoha. And Karatsuchi asks, that's their only base? There aren't any other related facilities? We're still tracking leads based on Amado's intel, but as of now, they've all been busts at the very least. He doesn't seem to be stupid enough to show up at a regular haunt. I always get Omoi and Darui confused. Is it Omoi who's the current Raikage? Let me see if I can get a quick little wiki search. No, close A for the Raikage. I guess that is Darui who's the Raikage. I think. Yes, yeah, Darui is Darui. Don't know why I get them confused sometimes. I guess they're both kind of minor characters. Anyway, Darui says, so no clues, huh? What's the plan then? And Chojuro also responds, we predict his moves and intercept him? What are his motives? And Shikamaru answers, we think he has two broad concerns. The first is retaliating against those involved in subduing Otsutsuki-fication, specifically the murder of the Hokage and several other Konoha shinobi. And the second is cultivating a divine tree from 10 tails. That gets Gaara's attention, of course, as the former Jinchuriki. 10 tails? We have to fight that monster again? Naruto answers, worst case scenario, yes. But that's partly why we need to find Code now, to thwart his plan. And Darui sort of casually responds, alright, I get your situation. One basic question, though. This scientist Amado that you've got, can we really trust him? And Chojuro, Karatsuchi, and Gaara all kind of listen in on that. Karatsuchi is her name, right? I'm not misforgetting, not forgetting the, Tsuchikage's name. Kurotsuchi, my bad. Not Karatsuchi. But anyway, what Darui's bringing up here is kind of the thing we've sort of seen with Sumire's scenes in the past couple of chapters, that she's starting to be more than a little suspicious of Amado. But Darui kind of expands, I trust you, Konoha, but this dependence on a bastard who until just recently belonged to the enemy organization. You sure he's not using you for his own purposes? Naruto answers, if you want my personal opinion, no, I don't trust him 100%. But Amado came through with flying colors in the battle against Ishiki. It wouldn't be an overstatement to say that without his help, there wouldn't still be a village. So the proof is in the results. So yeah, we're seeing Naruto is like, he's not great, but he is the only reason we're still here. And if he was working for Gaara the whole time, there's no reason he would help us. What Naruto, I don't think is quite thinking about is, what if he's not working for Gaara, but he's not really working for us either? And Kuretsuchi kind of continues, or responds, as long as that wasn't all a giant dog and pony show. Well, it does seem like his life is being targeted, and his intel itself, at least, is credible to a certain extent. And Gaara kind of picks up, all's well that ends well in terms of Ishiki, but what of Momoshiki's karma? Is Boruto alright? Naruto responds, we're still searching for an effective solution, but it's not looking good. But Boruto himself is doing fine. And Gaara responds, the Gaara holdout is a problem too, but this issue, frankly, is my bigger concern. And like he's kind of right. Like they don't really have, maybe not actually right, but it's very easy to understand where Gaara is coming from. Like they've not really seen Code. As far as they know, Code is less of a threat than Ishiki, at least for the moment. But Momoshiki is coming. And Momoshiki took, all Five Kage and Sasuke and Boruto to take down. One part of that will not be there if Boruto dies and becomes Momoshiki. And again, is an immediate Otsutsuki level threat that Code just isn't at the moment. Anyway, Gaara continues, if Momoshiki or Boruto himself were to become an Ishiki level threat, sorry to be harsh, but would you be able to take down your own son? Gaara asking the hard-hitting questions here, and Shikamaru looks at Naruto as Naruto pauses and says, I'll do what needs to be done, as Hokage. And we'll see how, given Naruto's childhood skills at taking down people who he liked but needed to take down, we'll see how honest he is there, given his inability to ever kill Sasuke. But we'll see how all that plays out. But then, we cut to Amado, who's somewhere else in the village, it looks like, rummaging through, like, a locker. I spoke to Sasuke earlier, but it did seem like he was prepared to if necessary. Oh, so this is after, okay, so I thought this was just another place. It's another time, too. It's a bit after the summit. As Naruto is talking to Amado. And Naruto tells him, for me, I just have trouble believing any of it. That my precious son will become another person entirely. A brutal Otsutsuki, no less. And Amado kind of takes another drag on the cigarette as Naruto continues. And even if that worst case possibility were to become reality, I'd rather keep on not believing it until the moment it happens. Which might not be the best move, but it's definitely easy to understand where Naruto is coming from there. But anyway, Amado sort of sighs a puff of smoke and then says, I used to have a daughter. I know how you feel. That's new information. I wonder if this will tie into whatever his goals are with Kawaki that I've kind of been picking up on the past couple of chapters. But it is the first like seed of an Amado backstory. I think is really important to making sense of him. But anyway, Naruto looks at him. Oh, I didn't know that. She died though. It's been 12 years already. Naruto looks at him kind of sad. I see. And Amado's found whatever he was looking for. Here we go. This is it. And he puts it down. It's this tiny like glass bottle of pills. And Naruto looks kind of confused at it as Amado continues. It's not that you don't want to believe. Rather, you don't want to give up, right? That's why you've come to me. And Naruto sort of looks at him, unanswering, and then looks down at the pills. What's this? Some sort of medicine? It's a drug I crafted with the aim of weakening a Byakugan's power. That was the original plan. Because Ishiki has the Byakugan, right? Naruto looks at him. What? I did every conceivable thing to take Jigen down. This was one byproduct of that. Don't ask for the details. The origin of Byakugan lies with Otsutsuki, so weakening the Byakugan might have the effect of curtailing the Otsutsuki-fication of Boruto's cells. Okay, but Boruto doesn't have the Byakugan. Unless we're finally gonna tie into the Jogan that's been mentioned, not in the anime since, like, I think the Mist arc? I vaguely recall it possibly showing up during, like, the Jugo arc in the anime, but I might be misremembering that. And has just never been mentioned in the anime. So maybe, we'll see what's going on with that. Naruto looks at him. Huh? For real? Fair warning. I wouldn't normally recommend this, because there's no telling what kind of side effects there may be. Decreased vision would be bad enough, but worst case scenario, there's a chance you could die. Naruto kind of like gets a little bit serious there with that sort of warning, and Amado continues. Listen closely. The best we can expect is curtailment. We might be able to stop the progression of Otsutsuki-fication, temporarily. It doesn't solve the fundamental problem, and regular dosing will likely become necessary to maintain efficacy. You need to consider all of that very carefully before making your decision, though in the end, it's still Boruto's decision. And I'm sure you realize this, but make sure your wife and daughter don't take these. Yeah, because those two actually have Byakugan. Boruto just kind of doesn't. But Naruto looks at it kind of sad and then picks it up, and Amado continues, this is the most I can do. Come back if you need more. Naruto looks back at him. Thanks, Amado. I owe you one. And given how untrustworthy Amado's been made to see these past couple of chapters, we'll see if that owing him one comes back to bite Naruto in the ass in the end. By the way, sorry if I can hear my dog. She's barking about something crazy right now, I bet. Anyway, we then cut to the Boruto cult facility. As Eida, really right where we left off, as Eida is just sort of standing in her cell. Interestingly enough, we do see this kind of strips of black that Code kind of jumps out of. In like the claw marks where Code opened up the door. I think that might just be the effect of Code's claw attack. Either way, Eida sort of looks at Bug and Code. I won't really go into describing her because I already did that for the cover. And she sort of takes a step out. And Code looks at her. Morning, Eida. I'm Code. Sorry to wake you so suddenly. And Eida just sort of says nothing and walks past them as Code watches her leave. And then we see, oh yeah, I kind of didn't notice it earlier. One of the strips is across her chest. I guess where Code kind of slashed her a little bit. And one of Code's sort of monster fingers pops out from from her chest, right around here-ish, if you can see it on the video, right around here-ish. And we see, it is his, so she kind of takes a look at it, and we cut to Code, who's sort of putting his thumb inside his hand to make the jutsu work, and he threatens her, hold it right there. You can't even bother with a hello? And Eida is still silent, sort of looks away. I came here to talk to you. However, if you can't concern yourself with me, fine. I'll dispose of you, as per Jigen's orders. And Eida sort of looks back at him, and grins. Go ahead and try. And Code just sort of looks at her. That's too bad. And then sticks his thumb all the way in, I guess to, go on the attack. And nothing happened, and he's kind of confused. He looks at it kind of questioningly. What the? I can't move my hands. Or rather, they won't do what I tell them to? And Bug looks at him shocked, and Eida kind of teases. See? You can't, can you? This is one of her abilities too? I'm sorry, Code. I wasn't ignoring you. You see, I've been asleep a long time, so I'm worried I have bad breath. Okay. I think she's just kind of mocking him. But still, she's kind of like playing it being nice here, is my interpretation. We'll see how right I am going forward. But Code is kind of stunned, and Eida just says, Bug, guide him to the bar. I'll join you when I'm finished. And she seems to be the one kind of in charge of Bug, as Bug just sort of says, yes, ma'am. And Code is just sort of stunned at this whole scene. And then we cut to Code and Bug out at the bar, apparently, because there's a bar in this cult facility. And Code just sort of continues, right, she's a girl after all. And when I did lack class. I mean, okay, sure. Anyway, hey Bug, what do you think? Is she interested in me? And Bug sort of gets on to him, don't be stupid, Code, dragging me into this mess. You've gotten yourself ensnared in her spell already. And Code looks at him, yeah, my heart's pounding harder the longer I wait. Is this a tactic of hers too? Okay. There's an interesting thing. Because Code has been presented as just sort of, obsessed with Jigen above all else. But all of a sudden, he's just sort of seemingly fallen head over heels for Eida. Is she interested in me? It doesn't quite feel like a sort of mockery of Eida there. Anyway, we had a quick shot of Eida just brushing her teeth as Bug continues, Fool! That's not what I meant. It's her ability. She's stolen your heart. Okay. Does that mean that Eida's gonna end up kind of supplanting Code as the villain of this arc? I don't know. Anyway, Eida sort of, washes her face and looks at herself in the mirror, and Code looks at him. An ability to steal one's heart? It's the reason you weren't able to attack her earlier. You're totally done for. And Code just responds, that's incredible. Clairvoyance is cheating enough. To have yet another ability, that's amazing. Okay. given given what Code says on page 2024, that she's a girl after all, what I did that class, and the kind of romantic um, viewing of the stolen your heart line, and just, is she interested in me? I'm curious if Eida's going to be the kind of power that, like, only works on men. Like, if it's exclusively, like, heterosexual. And if so, that could be a good chance for Sarada to get a good fight in. I feel like she hasn't done anything since, like, the Boro fight a year and a half plus ago. But anyway, an ability to steal one. Oh, I already did that part. To have yet another ability that's amazing. And Eida just sort of walks in, having overheard that line. Overblown is what it is. It's not such a good thing. Let's say there were security cameras in every nook of the world, and you could access them whenever you wanted. And she just sort of walks past Code. Could you watch them all day? And Code sort of looks at her, and she sits down. I think at the table where Bug is. For the most part, I'm super bored, though occasionally I'll see something interesting. And Code asks her, really? So, anything interesting happen recently? And Eida sort of looks up, let's see, and then turns back to Code. Otsutsuki-fication dying. And Code just sort of looks at her, well aware that it's sort of like a jab at him. It was pretty pathetic. It made me laugh. I'm sad that I can't show it to you. And then Ishiki's dead soul griped at you. He seemed to be going on for a while, so I stopped listening partway through. But poor you, to be tasked with so many things. And Code sort of looks at her, and then finally says, wow, your clairvoyance is the real deal. How does it work? Well, it's hard to explain to others, but it feels just like my consciousness has jumped there. I can see the past, too. I can't see events that happened before I was born, though. And I'll say this right now. Don't even think of asking such a boorish thing as how many years into the past I can look. So yeah, I'm trying to find the right words to describe Eida, because a lot of her lines seem sort of indicative of generalizations around women, I'd say. You know, both the I don't want to talk to you with bad breath, the don't ask my age gag. Not really a gag, but you know what I mean. To the explicit, like, romantic sort of nature of her heart-stealing powers. I don't know. I'm a little... Let's see how Eida goes from here. Maybe I'm just a little bit burned by the princess-samurai dynamic in Samurai 8. Maybe that's sort of bleeding in here. And that's one of the things that made me drop that series. I don't know. I'm a little bit not super big on Eida's personality right now. We'll see what comes of it. I'm not fully shutting down on her yet, but we'll see. Anyway, Code jabs back at her. Fine, I'll only guess at your age then. Can you see the future? And Eida responds, no, it's not precognition. I can only see current events in real time, or pick scenes from the past to watch. Also, though, if Eida's one of the cyborgs, right? Is this so? She'd only be a few years old, I think. Anyway, but I did predict that you would come visit me. Call it female intuition. There we go again. Code sort of responds, really? I'm flattered. How to release the power limiters implanted in your body. Isn't that what you want to know? And Code looks at her. You really are all-knowing. Yep. In order to kill Hokage and Uchiha. I could probably do it as I am, but I want to spare myself unnecessary hardship. But Eida tells him, only Amado can lift the limiters, using iris recognition and a voice print command code. Both biometric authentications are needed, and I don't know what the code word is. And Code responds, I see. Well, biometric authentication isn't a problem. I'll just have someone perform transformation jutsu and turn into him. But Eida counters, it's not that easy. You may not be able to tell, but he's remodeled his eyes with scientific ninja tools. And you know transformation jutsu can't replicate complex tech. Okay, that's interesting. And it's sort of a callback to, maybe it's meant to be a callback to, because I don't think we've seen that kind of issue come up since the fight with Ao, when Boruto couldn't use the scientific, or put the scientific ninja tools on a shadow clone because only one would have the tools, and Al would think that was the real one. But yeah, it's a callback to that sort of concept. Anyway, so you either need Amado to cooperate or gouge out his eyeballs and take them with you. And we see Bug is not super comfortable with this topic of conversation here. But Code just responds, "Aw, shoot. So charging to Konoha alone just for this would be short-sighted. Not that I'm a fool like Delta." And then Eida responds, "This must be why he hunkered down in the shinobi village. He's smart and a dreamy dandy, but I'll still kill him the next time we meet." So here's a thought that just popped in my head. What if Eida isn't a cyborg? Is not one of the cyborgs used to take down Jigen? What if Eida is Amado's dead daughter? Or maybe she was, like, cyborgified to take down Jigen, which is why she sort of turned against Amado here. Though I will say, calling your father a dreamy dandy is a little creepy, so maybe I'm wrong. But it's specifically the fact that we first hear about Amado's daughter, who's been dead for a dozen years, right around this time that we meet Eida. We'll see how right or wrong I am. And Code looks at her. "You hate Amado?" "That's right. Do you know why?" And Code looks at her. "Because he remodeled your body?" "Half right. But that's not the main reason." And so Code just responds, "I'm stumped. I give up. Why?" And Eida looks at him. "Code, you like me, right?" Okay. That's where we're going with... Let's see where we're going with this. Oh. No more guessing games? Just answer, Code. Do you like me? And Code responds... Takes a minute and responds, "Yes, I like you, Eida. I've been crazy about you since earlier. But at the same time, my feelings for you raise a question. These emotions of mine, which seem so authentically real, are they phony, manufactured by your ability?" Which is kind of what Bug was getting at earlier, and definitely feel like it, given like the huge swap in Code as soon as he saw her. But Bug sort of watches a little nervous now, and Eida questions, "What trifling things you worry about? Does it really matter?" And Code responds, "Don't misunderstand. I'm not talking about myself. I just want to know your abilities, since we'll be teaming up." But Eida responds, "You know nothing, Code. That's why you're useless." And Code looks at her. "It's not limited to you. Everyone becomes captivated by me. Both men and women, no matter who they are." Okay, so there's a sort of answer to the question I posited earlier. It will not just be easy to have Sarada fight her, and let the laws of heterosexuality save the day. Anyway, Eida kind of presses. "Now do you get it? How absolutely boring and tedious it is?" And Code looks at her. "You're not the one who most wants to know whether your feelings are real or not. It's me." So here's a weird deep cut. Her whole dilemma here reminds me of, like, the succubus teacher from Interviews with Monster Girls. That is that an old show now? At what point does the show become old? It's a question we can have for another time. But you know, her whole dilemma of no one ever, you know, everyone's just attracted to me because I'm a succubus. So who will actually be attracted to me for me? It's kind of it's a weird place to find an echo of that. But anyway, Eida continues. "Even people who might have naturally, genuinely come to like me, I'll never know their true hearts, because my ability forcibly steals their hearts away. So this is the right answer to my earlier question. Amado has robbed me of ordinary love," which kind of cuts into, I mean, maybe she still is Amado's daughter, but that's not exactly what she's getting at. I mean, we won't find out yet if she is. Anyway, but I can't forgive that. That's why I hate him. And Bug sort of watches all this, and then just, like, turns to leave. Well then, Code, I think I'll get going now. Good luck to the two of you. But then the kind of strip kind of appears on Bug. And Code questions him, "What about you, Bug? It doesn't look like you've been captivated by Eida." "I'm the same as you. Just happened a lot longer ago." And Eida responds, "Bug is shy, so he doesn't show it externally. And he's a chicken. I think he's scared. It's endearing." And Code looks at her. "I see. I think I finally understand the reason why Boro disobeyed Jigen's order and didn't dispose of you. He was your captive, too." "That's right. But he was also rather afraid, just like Bug. Of my ability, that is." And then Code kind of thinks for a second and says, "Hold on. Then it should have been the same with Jigen. So how was he able to order your disposal? Jigen's an exception. I couldn't steal his heart." "What?" "There are two types of hearts my ability can't steal. One is blood relatives, like if she's Amado's daughter, that could still tie in. And the other is Otsutsuki. Which maybe Boruto and Kawaki are Otsutsuki enough that they're immune at this point. Maybe. I'm just like thinking of ways Eida could eventually be fought. Even if Eida's abilities aren't exactly combat oriented, you know, seeing the present and past doesn't really work in a fight. And the captivation could like if you get past the captivation, she's just a person. So I'm curious what kind of fight she would give eventually. But anyway, let's put that in mind for now. And the other is Otsutsuki. "I see. Otsutsuki, huh?" And Eida turns to Code. "Hey, Code. That boy Kawaki. He's Otsutsuki too, right?" And Code kind of looks at her for a minute and then says, "Yeah, though he's incomplete. He had a karma." And Eida looks at him. "Going back to Ishiki, in the end, he died after falling for Kawaki's ploy." Code looks at her. "When I saw that, my heart fluttered. It was thrilling." Excuse me. "I hadn't felt like that in a long time." And Code looks at her. "I see. So that's how it is. You're right. Your ability may not work on Kawaki. You'd be able to have a normal romance with him. He could be your shining prince." I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna, something about Eida and, you know, her whole romance obsession. There's something about it that's rubbing me the wrong way, and I don't quite have the words for it. Anyway, Eida responds, "Exactly. You're starting to get it, Code. In which case, the same holds true for Uzumaki Boruto. He's also undergoing karmic Otsutsuki-fication. There we go. So he's plenty eligible to be your prince too. Beyond the fact they're both like 13. Like, hold on. Boruto, right. He's cute and dreamy too, but what about your objectives? Don't you need 10 tails fodder to cultivate the divine tree?" And Code looks at her. "Are you sure? You'll be down one precious prince." "No worries. Despite appearances, I'm monogamous." And Bug just sort of like watches this and like, what the fuck is going on? It's almost like a human trafficking transaction. They're both crazy pieces of work. But Eida continues. "The Kage are conferring right now. They're searching for you in order to stop your plan. But I can see and hear all. You'll never be caught." And Code responds, "Nice. You're the best. I was right to trust you. Well then, in salute to each other's goals. Shall we have a toast? Once again, nice to meet you, Eida." And they both kind of raise their glasses. "Likewise, Code. I'm counting on you. Next chapter hits May 20th. Okay, then. Let's talk about the Leaf first. As that's a relatively small part of the chapter, and easy enough to sort of get out of the way. Lots of interesting things there. The big thing that's sort of brought up is this idea, I think it's brought up multiple times, is that Naruto might have to take down Boruto. Which I don't think will end up happening in the end. I don't think that, you know, Boruto will die at Naruto's hands. But I do think we could very well, I think that is setting up Naruto versus Boroshiki. I do very much think that's where that whole subplot is going. Like, just the way that's framed. I'll do what needs to be done as Hokage. Which also is not sort of agreeing with Gaara. Naruto does not say, I will take down Boruto, I will kill Boruto. He's saying, I'll do what needs to be done, whatever that means, in this particular circumstance. Which, seems to be kill him. But we'll see if that turns out to be the case. And then we have the scene with Amado about the pills. And, we'll see how much it works. It'll probably end up negatively impacting Boruto in some fight down the line. The thing I kind of want to point out is I'm curious if this is a Chekhov's gun or just some random, like, throwaway line, is what Amado says here on page 16. And I'm sure you realize this, but make sure your wife and daughter don't take these. I don't know why that would happen, but something to kind of keep an eye on. And then we get to Eida. And I'm still not quite sure how I feel about Eida yet. There's something about her that's just... like I kind of said, she feels like just a collection of female stereotypes. And there's definitely something of interest in her. Her whole... the dilemma of not being able to know love. Or not knowing if love is genuine. But I don't know, something about that being her sole motivation. Something about it sort of, it just kind of, maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here, but it does kind of rub me the wrong way. I'd like someone to explain why I'm overthinking this, because I hope I am. Like I said in my cuckoo video last night, I do like liking things. But we do see this sort of, like, I do in the end sort of like Code and Eida's dynamic. There's this sort of, especially from Eida to Code, sort of adversarial. She's very much kind of needling him. Specifically on page, where is it? I think it's page 28. Where, Code is like, anything interesting happened recently? And she's just like, teasingly, let's see. And then just comes back to him. Otsutsuki-fication dying. Like, that's a direct jab at the object of Code's, like, cultic fixation. And so that's interesting enough. But then, yeah, we sort of work out, the problems with Code's current goal being that he needs, Amado's eyes, but his eyes have been so, changed by ninja tools, and a transformation jutsu can't replicate that. So he has to actually, like, kidnap Amado from the heart of the leaf, which presumably will be his immediate goal. And we'll see exactly what all that leads into, especially as we don't get anything from Boruto this chapter. Boruto is missing all chapter, and given his current conversations with Kawaki in the last chapter, this could sort of coincide with Boruto agreeing with Kawaki's plan to give Code his another karma. Possibly. We'll see. I think it's kind of important to note that no one else knows that plan, so we don't know if there's going to be any serious pushback against the idea of killing Code like that. But again, all that sort of remains to be seen. Anyway, I'm curious, like, Kawaki is not going to fall for Eida. That's just not who he is. And so I'm curious how Eida's going to react once that inevitably sort of goes down. I don't know. Eida is someone I'm keeping my eye on. We'll see how exactly her character works out in the end. I don't know. I'm hoping she doesn't turn into the kind of one-note character that, like, Mei Terumi could be, where, like, all of her lines are about how she doesn't have a husband, and how she's constantly mishearing people thinking they're talking about getting married when they never are. I'm hoping that's not sort of... I hope that Eida is allowed to be more... I hope there's allowed to be more to Eida than just, I want someone to love me and not because of my powers. Which is an interesting enough dynamic to, like, have as part of her character. But I think my worry is I hope it doesn't overshadow her character. I hope she's allowed to be a character who has this sort of, worry that no one actually will ever love her. while also being a fully rounded, dynamic character in her own right beyond that. And we'll see how accurate that turns out to be. I hope that she does. But yeah, that's chapter 57. A big ol' introduction to Eida, her clairvoyance, her captivation. There's a lot going on with her, and we'll sort of see how it all plays out as Code and Eida start to make their move towards the Leaf Village. So I've been talking for 40 minutes already, somehow completely lost track of time there. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!